This is Puck Year, New Zealand's hockey podcast with hosts Logan Swinkles and Joe Jury, bringing you the best stories and interviews from Down Under. Puck yeah! That's what I would sound like if I was Chris Key, who actually is doing pretty well for himself. Joe, I hear he's got a new job at Radio Hockey.
He's got a new gig. He is our nights host now. So we put him through a massive hazing period, which you're probably not allowed to do anymore, but we don't really care. So, no, he's really good. He's a valuable member of the full-time team now.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. He's come a long way from doing our intro. So,
well, we can say that we officially launched him into his broadcasting career.
I'm sure he will deny that to the grave, but
completely.
Anyway, there's been a lot happening, obviously, in the hockey world lately. Stanley Cup was awarded yesterday. St. Louis Blues. I think this should be the mandatory mention of Cam Green in here for the podcast. He'll be a very happy man, diehard Blues fan.
Yeah, I saw him on social. I think he was at work and he was just harassing all the people he works with Blues footage and live streams of the game on a big screen. Pretty good. Like I don't know how you feel about it, but I imagine you didn't want the Bruins to win. But St. Louis, good story, first ever Stanley Cup since '67 when they came in, so that's a feel-good story. Patrick Maroon, an old Mighty Ducks alumni, so I feel good about that. It was kind of a weird series. Like the Bruins blew the Blues, blew out the Blues,
nice,
in 2 games. And then St. Louis won 3 games in Boston. It was weird. It was a weird series and a weird playoffs, like Stanley Cup playoffs overall, really.
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, like you kind of mentioned before, like the story behind the Blues is just unreal. The fact that they, literally started from the bottom and now they're here kind of thing. Like they were dead last coming into 2019, and then all of a sudden, hey, Jordan Binghamton's like, hey, no, I got this. And I'm kind of surprised he didn't win the Conn Smythe. I know there's quite a few people out there like that as well. I mean, when a goalie helps, obviously he had a couple of stinkers, but, he did help a lot. He was huge in Game 7 as well.
I think if he had got a shutout in that game, they would have given it to him, but he let that stinker in at the end. And Ryan O'Reilly was pretty good. It was just a weird playoffs, and I don't know. I think it was Gloria was probably their moment, and with Gloria, everything changed.
Yeah, and I'm just obviously, like you mentioned, very happy it wasn't the Bruins. Just seeing Marchand so upset, I could watch that all day, and just seeing Tyler Bozak win the Stanley Cup, lift it up, just be so happy. I'm just so stoked for the guy. I've seen a few really nice, posts on Instagram from, his former teammates with the Leafs, like Kadri, just absolutely pumped for the guy. So, it's that kind of thing. Like, I guess you had to go away to win a cup somewhere, and, the Blues were a good bet. That's for sure.
Yeah, and who would have thought a team with Tyler Bozak on it would beat the Bruins in a Game 7? So that's
when the score was 4-1.
I know.
Yeah, crazy. I do have to admit though, I actually haven't watched a lot of the Stanley Cup Finals because I've just been so all in on the Raptors' run in the NBA Finals. They almost won it at home in Game 5. To kind of date this podcast very quickly, Game 6 is happening very shortly. So I'm going to be kind of MIA for a few hours after this, I think.
Do you think they can do it in Game 6, or will it go to 7? Scary thing is that the Golden State are kind of woken up now, so...
Yeah, and there's obviously going to be that added motivation of, doing it for Kevin Durant. The fact that they even brought him out in Game 5, I mean, I might sound like a dick here, but I have no sympathy for. I think was it the president of like the operations or whatever? He was in a press conference and he was tearing up. He was basically taking full responsibility for the decision, despite the fact that it was a decision made between obviously coaching staff, all their medical team, and everyone involved. But he was taking the heat in the media, and I just don't fucking buy it. Like, I mean, it was a dumb move. You had all these people saying, like, look where he's been strapped with his ice. That's not his calf. That's his Achilles.
Mm.
And now here you go, boom, he in fact ruptured his Achilles when he played in Game 5. And, I mean, it sucks for Kevin Durant. Big time.
How good was he looking, though, in that game? It was quite terrifying. He was just nailing threes, and then just that footage of that close-up of his leg exploding is quite horrific.
The fact that he could play that well despite being injured just speaks so much volumes for the guy. So, I mean, I hope obviously he comes back, strong after his surgery the other day, and who knows what happens next season. But now it's all about the finals.
Here's a question for you. So he's ruptured his Achilles, right? If you are a team, and worst case scenario, he's gone for the entire next season. If you are a team, do you sign him for, what's the maximum in the NBA, 4 years? Do you sign him for 4 years knowing that his entire next year, one of those years, could be a complete nothing?
Someone will take that chance. I mean, that's pretty much what the Raptors did with Kawhi Leonard. You know, the Spurs wrote him off with his injury and everything. And
so you're saying Kevin Durant to the Raptors? Is that what you think?
That's not. I'm saying someone is going to see what the Raptors have done with Kawhi, and I mean, like KD is like to me that's a no-brainer. You do that. But to your original question, I don't know if they win it in Game 6. I feel like the Warriors are going to be obviously really fired up. This is definitely, without a doubt, their last ever game at Oracle Arena, so they're going to want to give their fans something to cheer about, that's for sure, and try and stretch it out to a Game 7. And I mean, the Raptors fan in me obviously wants the Raptors to win at home, but then going to a Game 7 adds so much pressure that Golden State have way more experience in. So we'll see. But that's probably enough of derailing the podcast 2 weeks in a row with NBA chat. I promise we'll probably do it again next week when
it's highly likely.
Yeah. But actually, the subject of this podcast this week is the Inline Ferns, the New Zealand Inline Ferns, our national women's team. They are heading off very shortly to Spain for the World Roller Games. And, we covered them quite extensively last year. I kind of fell in love with the sport. I never really...
Yeah, you became an inline fan last year.
Yeah. I never really paid attention to it before, but I loved it. All the ladies in that team are just, great New Zealanders, without a doubt. And, it was, I had a great chat with Jana Kivell and Hannah Jensen, who are sort of two of the younger stars of the team. And I mean, their schedule, it's going to be tough. It's coming up in, very soon, actually. July 6th is their first game against France. And then the day after that, they play Chinese Taipei. The day after that, they play Italy. And then the day after that, they play USA, who won it last year and the #1 ranked team in the world. So,
yeah, that could be a bit of a stiff test.
It could be, but it's going to be fun to watch. And also, the games are actually at a really good time, for New Zealanders and for me in Australia. Their first two games are at 7:30 in New Zealand. Then the Italy game is 9 p.m. And then that game against the USA is at midnight. So, I mean, if you want to stay up for that, go for it, because inline games are actually over within an hour. So it's great, usually.
It's a lot better than staying up all through the night to watch cricket where it's rained out and nothing happens.
Wow. So. We're definitely not derailing this podcast with Cricket World Cup chat, that's for sure. But yeah, for now, that's it from Joe. Say bye, Joe, and we'll get stuck into my interview with Jana and Hannah.
Bye, Joe.
All right, Hannah, Jensen, and Jana Kivell, thanks for taking the time to chat with Puck here today. The first thing that I really wanted to get into is just how long you two have known each other. You've practically grown up playing hockey together right from primary school age. So, out there on the rink, do you just know where each other is going to be at all times? Do you have like a sixth sense going on there between you two?
Yeah, so we have known each other for quite a long time. How many years would it be now? More than 10? Like maybe 12 years? 12 years, yeah. So we actually, for most of our childhood, we actually grew up on the same, we lived on the same street. And we went to primary school together. So Jana's 3 years younger than me at school. Oh, yeah. School too. Yeah. So we've definitely known each other for a long time. And then we started playing school league inline hockey together when I was about 10. You were about 8. Yeah. So yeah, we've definitely known each other for a long time. And yeah, we actually have had quite a few people say to us that we must be like psychic with each other or something. Because sometimes we are pretty in sync on the rink. Not all the time, but sometimes.
I love that. Actually, speaking of which, I remember, we saw that kind of special connection between the two of you at last year's World Champs, especially during that playoff for 7th place against Italy. It was overtime. You combined for that game-winning goal. And I know it wasn't the placing that the team was hoping for, but can you recall for us, how that moment felt to get such a big win over the host country?
We lost to them in our last game in China in 2017. So I think it was 2-1 to them, and this time it was 2-1 to us. So, yeah, it was pretty good to get them back.
Yeah, it was definitely a pretty awesome feeling. Yeah.
It's like it was their home.
Yeah, especially to be against the home crowd. Yeah, that was awesome.
But you silence them a little bit. It's pretty awesome because, you watch it and Jana, you're kind of tearing up with the puck there, and then you see Hannah, you pass it on, and then Hannah, you've got the puck on your stick, and then boom, Jana's right there open. It was an awesome moment. It was actually from that tournament, I was hooked on inline hockey. I don't know why it took me so long, but I love it now after watching, the Inline Ferns last year. There just seems to be this added emphasis on, creativity compared to say ice hockey. It feels a lot more free flowing, but because you've both been in this game for a while now, starting with you, Hannah, what brings you back year after year to the sport?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I just love it. I think definitely, for me now, just having played it for so long, it does feel like a lot of, especially the girls on the team, it does feel like a family. And I just have, I just love being around everyone, and it's just so much fun playing. I don't even know. I just enjoy it so much. So yeah, that's definitely what brings me back.
And what about for you, Jana?
Yeah, I just love hockey. Ice hockey and inline hockey, I like both.
Yeah, Jana's pretty obsessed.
Yeah, I've heard. Before we go any further into the Inline Ferns, I want to talk about your recent experience playing in Spain for the CPLV Panthers. How did that whole thing even come about?
So in last Worlds in 2018, some of the Spanish junior women team, I started talking to them, and then in around, it was I think December of last year, so it was pretty close to when we actually left. They said that their team was looking for a few players and that we could come over, and then we just talked to the coach about it, and then that's how it happened.
Awesome. Now, what kind of setup was waiting for you with the Panthers? Can you give us an idea of how big inline hockey is in Spain, and with that women's elite league you're competing in, was that a professional league?
In the elite league, there was 8 other teams. So, and there's I think there's about 4 different women's leagues in total there. And here we have 4 in total. So just in their top league, they've already got twice as many teams as we do. And it's really competitive. And they have training 3 times a week for an hour each time. And then every Wednesday we did this circuit thing. And it was oh my God. It was cool. It was intense, but it really opened our eyes to what type of training Europe, especially Spain, because they're really good at Worlds and they always place really high in the second division. So
yeah, because if you compare that to what we've got over here, so Jana and I, we train probably about twice a week, maybe for inline, or that's just, what's offered to us from our team. So each team normally gets about one training a week.
Yeah.
So even just comparing that to what they've got over in Spain, it's just incredible. Like we pretty much played hockey every single day there or twice a day, which is just incredible. And yeah, just the amount of teams was also crazy because, yeah, like Jana said, we've only got the 4 teams here, and it's the same with women's ice hockey here. We've only just got the 3 or 4 teams now with Wellington coming in, yeah. So just incredible to actually have so many teams and to be at that level because they definitely were a step up to the teams that we've got here. So that was really awesome to experience that.
Did it kind of feel like, with the short space of time that you were in Spain, did it kind of feel like you guys were living that hockey dream?
Yeah, we pretty much every day we just woke up and then went to the rink. And then we used the gym there. There was a gym right next to the rink. And then we'd just train at night. So it was pretty much hockey 24/7.
Yeah, our apartment was like, how many, 5-minute walk? If that,
like 500 metres from the rink.
Yeah, and just in the mornings, like the rink was just like, there was a couple of people there. It was just free to use, which is crazy because, yeah, like here or like in Hamilton, you have to pay sort of, $25 an hour to use the rink. And it might be different at other rinks across the country. I don't know. But just, having access to that free rink time, and obviously it's a lot worse for ice hockey as well, which is absolutely incredible. So definitely felt like a bit of a dream.
So obviously the team set you up an apartment there. What was the kind of setup like there for you?
Yeah. So there was the 2 of us, and then we were staying with this other girl, Shalini, who was also on the team, and she's also on. She's actually not this year, but she has been on the Spanish national team for quite a few years in the past. She's a really, really talented player. So she was staying there in the room next to us, which was cool. It was pretty funny. It was a good apartment. It was pretty small, but it was a bit funny because when we got there, they were still renovating. So they were actually still building our kitchen as we were there. But I mean, yeah, it was just awesome, and we were just so thankful to actually have the apartment and be so close to the rink. It was really cool.
Awesome. Now I know I'm pretty sure this was you guys. You might have jogged my memory, but I believe you took along a jar of Pix peanut butter with you to have some. So just how long did that jar last you guys?
Like a week.
Yeah, like less than 2 weeks. we were not prepared. We should have brought more.
I hope they're listening because, you might want to take a box of Pix peanut butter with you to Spain for the World Roller Games. But judging from Instagram, it looked like you guys definitely had a pretty good time over there. The Panthers really welcomed a couple of Kiwis with open arms. But away from the rink, did you get to explore Spain much and do anything cool like touristy?
We went to a couple different places. It was for hockey, but we got to have a look around there. We went to a place called Villarreal, which is 4 hours? Yeah, 4 hours from Valladolid where we stayed. And that was on the coast, but we didn't spend too much time there, but we still went around.
Yeah, right before we left, we got to see Madrid for a couple of days, but it was mostly just hockey, yeah.
And what about, say, typically when you do these overseas trips with the Inline Ferns, do you get to spend much time around the city, either before or after, or is it just all business and you're back home?
So some people will plan their trip so that they might get a bit of a holiday normally after the trip, but honestly, we only get, normally there's one rest. It's 1 or 2 days off during the tournament. So sometimes we might get to do, some sort of small touristy things, but most of the time we don't really. Yeah.
So looking back kind of on your time with the Panthers, how do you think that set you up for your preparations with the World Roller Games?
It was definitely eye-opening in terms of the training they do, especially the circuit. That was the most intense training I've ever done on the rink in my life, and it was just 20 minutes of non-stop, just going on your skate. Yeah. And I think we can compete with them. It's just we need to be faster and fitter, and then I don't think they're necessarily any more skilled.
Yeah, definitely the speed and the fitness was definitely the first thing that we picked up on, that they've really got on us, and they're really fast over there and they just go straight away. So that's definitely something that we're more aware of now.
I love whenever you guys sort of bring up the circuit, it almost seems like a real love-hate thing that you have going for that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I remember we were doing it, and Hannah said it's the last one or something, and it was not the last one. Like, we went for like at least 5 more rounds. It was just like it never ended.
I was trying to be positive around. I was trying to be positive.
That's awesome. Now, the Inline Ferns, you're leaving for the World Roller Games on July 1st, and I believe you're getting together for a couple of days beforehand just to go over any kind of last-minute detail. So just how hard has the team been working together under head coach Stephen Adams?
So we had about 5, how many training camps? 4 or 5? 4 or 5 training camps together, which has been really good. And then we've also had 2 tournaments together. So we have had quite a bit of time playing together, which has been really awesome. And like Jana said, we have had that training program going, which has been really good as well. So yeah, I think everyone has been working really, really hard towards it. And then we've got a 2-day training pre-tournament training camp coming up. Just in a couple of weeks.
And I've sort of been chatting a bit to your team manager Courtney Fox about the upcoming tournament. And now I know New Zealand's been placed in what she is calling the pool of death. You're up against, USA. They won last year. You've also got Italy again, plus, Chinese Taipei and France, who both could be a surprise. So, there's no given who will qualify here for the quarterfinals. And, obviously every game will count. So does it bother you that, the Inline Ferns road might be harder than most, or is it kind of more like motivation to perform and prove to the world, that New Zealand can hang with the best of them?
I think it's motivation. Like, there's nothing we can do about it to change that. So we would have to beat them eventually if we want the medal. So
yeah, I think no matter what, it's going to be a hard pull. And I mean, every year there's countries that come out as surprises. Like for example, in 2017 in China, we beat France. When I think we probably maybe didn't know if we were going to get through that game, and we did, which was really awesome. And then, for example, last year, I feel like we probably should have beaten Argentina, which we didn't. So it kind of is a bit of a hit and miss.
We drew with Canada and took USA to a shootout. So
yeah, I'm pretty excited for the USA game, to be honest.
I love that you brought up Canada. Just every time I think of that shootout, and I think of Tara's celebration.
Oh yeah. She's not gonna like that. We brought that up.
I know it comes up every time.
That's so good.
There's been a slight change, obviously with the team this year. Anjali Malari, she is expecting her first child, so she's therefore unable to play, but she's still sticking with the team as an assistant coach. So how do you think she's settled into that new role?
I think it probably has been quite hard for Ange to not be on the rink and just, watching, but she has done a really awesome job of helping us. Steve hasn't actually been able to come over for the 2 tournaments that we did because he's been busy. He was just in Africa Cup, doing the Africa Cup as well. So she's been doing a lot of coaching, which has been really good. She's just doing a really good job, we think, and it's cool that she's still coming along even though she can't play.
Now, obviously being in Hamilton, you're both involved with the Hamilton Devils Inline Club, but you also got the Hockey Wise program. And, we hear about how ice hockey is growing rapidly in Wellington. But I want to know, what about inline? Would you consider Hamilton to kind of be like the nation's, hub where it keeps attracting new players and developing them?
In Hamilton, we've got quite a big school league, which I think feeds in quite a few players. But I'm not actually sure if it would be the biggest. In terms of development, I think in Auckland and in Kerry actually at the moment they're doing a pretty good job of bringing in new players, which is pretty cool. Cool to see.
I think we do pretty well.
We definitely are one of these bigger clubs. Probably, would you say? Yeah.
There's always different kids as well at Hockey Wise, like new ones coming through. So I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, do you see a lot of growth there? Obviously with Hockey Wise, a lot of newer faces showing up.
Yeah, there are a lot of new faces showing up with Hockey Wise, definitely. And a lot of people coming from not just in Hamilton, but sort of all over the country, which is really awesome to see. They're really fun camps to coach.
The adults.
Yeah, we've got adult skill sessions now as well, which has been getting a bit of interest, which is really cool.
I'm trying to get my mum to come, but she refuses.
this is going to throw back a little bit. I remember when there used to be an ice rink in Hamilton. I loved going there on school trips as a kid coming over from Tauranga. Now that kind of shows how long ago that was, but because now the closest ice is 90 minutes away. Do you think that keeps aspiring ice hockey players away from that sport in your region and drive them more to pick up some wheels and give inline a shot?
Yeah, I 100% think that. Also, it's a big commitment for parents, especially for younger players, to drive your kid up to Auckland and back in a night, more than once a week usually. So good for inline though.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say I haven't been playing that much ice hockey these last couple of years, and it definitely is just to do with that travel time. So it would be interesting to see if we did have a rink in an ice rink in Hamilton, how that would affect the inliners. But at the moment, it's definitely good for the inliners.
Yeah, speaking of which, Hannah, I understand that both you and Jana have actually been dreaming of starting up your own ice rink in Hamilton someday.
I knew you were going to say this, Logan. I knew you were going to.
Yes. We need a bit of money first.
Yeah. It kind of is. It's mostly just a joke that, we've kind of...
It's not a joke.
Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry, Jana. But we kind of have said, if we won the lotto, this is what we'd do. It'd be pretty cool. But, that would take quite a bit of money.
And we probably can't play hockey if we did that.
Hey, you're still young. There's a lot of time. I mean, obviously, you see like Paris High down on Dunedin takes care of the Dunedin rink. It can happen. It can definitely happen. That's for sure. I mean, I would love to see it.
We can dream. We can dream.
Yeah. I mean, and I saw, you're both studying business and management at, University of Waikato. So I think if two people can do it, you're probably a good pair.
We probably would be. Jana, you can do the finances. That'd be great.
Speaking of, because you mentioned obviously sort of giving up hockey to focus on inline a bit. I know it can be a lot of juggling between training for and playing ice and inline. We had Rachel Park, the Ice Ferns head coach, on the podcast recently talking about how tough that can be. Does there come a point, obviously I think it's obviously happened for you, where you have to decide which discipline to focus on and, what factors weigh into that kind of decision?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things you got to juggle, and it does sort of come down to it. It does come down to it in the end. For me, it definitely has been, sort of a juggle between finances and uni, and then having the time to go off and train. So that is, the main reason that I've been sticking with inline a lot more these days.
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to money and time, really.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is a hard one.
Yeah, like it's unbelievable when you see, sort of the likes of, like Hannah Shields and Helen Murray and, obviously Anjali as well, how they can do both, represent New Zealand in ice and inline. It's such a massive commitment, and I just have so much respect for that. But, the fact that obviously, you guys really hustle to raise funds just to play. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard work.
Yeah, it is hard. And most of the time it is sort of we're doing all this fundraising, and it does come down to, most of the time it's the same sort of people that are supporting us as well, which is it's so generous of them, but it does make it really, really hard to keep fundraising year after year. But and for inline, at least Courtney has been doing a really awesome job these last few years with helping us to get some sponsorship and things like that. So that's been really awesome.
Now, I alluded to before, obviously, you're deep into your studies at, University of Waikato, and it's awesome to see how proud the campus is, actually, that they've got 4 students in the national team with, Laura Thresher and Hannah Shields coming as well. But, those studies are such a big commitment in and of itself. So, like, what kind of support do you receive from the university when it comes to pursuing your dreams of hockey goal? Because obviously it's been interrupted a little bit. You've been to Spain already. You're kind of going all over the world to do this.
So especially Jana and I are really, really lucky and privileged that we're actually on a scholarship at Waikato Uni for our sports. So we do get quite a bit of support in that area. So, for example, because this is Jana's first year, but for me in the past, I've been allowed to, obviously take all the time off uni, and all my lecturers are always really understanding, and I've gotten, easily gotten things like extensions or whatever I need, some extra support through that scholarship, which has been really handy. They also, they allowed Jana to actually take that first semester off if she wanted to.
Yeah, they said I could defer my scholarship till the second semester, but they didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't end up doing that in the end, but that's been really, really awesome. Just the fact that there is that support and you can move your exams and things like that there is a lot of flexibility and support. It's definitely been really handy.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I was, as I said before, the Inline Ferns finished 7th last year. From watching you play, I felt like you definitely could have, gone much higher. And I mean, it goes without saying that the goal is gold, obviously, but realistically speaking, kind of how do you see this team coming together? How do you see you performing? What are the strengths of this 2019 Inline Ferns?
I think we have a lot of experience this year, especially compared to past years, and everyone's working really hard, and our training program will help us a lot. Because at that level, I think it comes down to fitness, really, because everyone's skilled.
Yeah, we got 7th last year, so there's a couple of other teams this year. I'm really interested to see what Chinese Taipei will be like. And last year, and France as well, and Finland, we were really good last year as well. So, I don't know. Oh yeah, Sweden are there. Yeah. Although I don't know. But it'll be interesting. Yeah, it definitely will be interesting to see what those teams are like. And yeah, it really is hard to know until you get there. But I'm definitely pushing for it top 5.
I want a medal.
Yeah, I know you want a medal. I want a medal too.
Amazing. Well, I wish you both the very best for the World Roller Games. Good luck to you and the rest of the Inline Ferns, of course. Thanks for coming on today, and we'll definitely be following your progress.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Logan.
No worries. See you guys.
Puck yeah! It's New Zealand's home for hockey. Subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, or with your favourite podcast app for the latest episodes. Follow the team on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at PuckYeahNZ. And for your fix of hockey news, go to puckyeah.nz.